Her voice cracked like a broken instrument. She wasn't begging for romance, not even for freedom in its grandest form. She was starving, for touch, for kindness, for something gentle in a world that had only given her chains. Captured, starved, and abandoned by everyone she trusted, her plea wasn't about survival of the body. It was about survival of the soul. And far from her cries, in another part of the world, a sleek black car rolled silently through the gates of a sprawling mansion. Inside the car sat a woman who, to the world, was untouchable. A billionaire. A name written in magazines, a face photographed at galas. People called her powerful, ruthless, successful. She had everything anyone could dream of, yet she lived in a silence so cold, even diamonds couldn't brighten it. That day, as she stepped out of her car, she expected the same silence. But instead, she heard something strange. Laughter. Not the polished laughter of parties or the fake laughter of business deals. No, it was raw, unfiltered, bubbling with innocence.
She followed the sound. Around the back of the estate, past the servants' quarters, she froze.
There he was. Her janitor. A man who barely spoke, who kept his eyes down when she passed. He was sitting by an old garden tube filled with water. Beside him was his little boy, splashing, laughing, his tiny hands slapping the water and sending droplets flying like jewels in the sunlight. The boy laughed so hard his whole body shook, and the janitor clapped for him, cheering as if this moment was the greatest treasure he'd ever owned. The billionaire woman's throat tightened. She couldn't remember the last time she'd heard laughter like that. The last time she had laughed like that. For years, she had collected priceless art, rare cars, diamond necklaces locked in glass cases. Yet here, in a rusty old water tube, a child and his father had found more joy than all her wealth had ever given her. She almost turned away. Almost. But then the boy noticed her. He didn't know her name, didn't see her wealth, didn't bow like the world did. His eyes lit up with something simple, innocence. He waved at her.
Her hand rose before she even realized. She waved back, and for the first time in years, she smiled. The janitor scrambled to his feet, embarrassed. "Ma'am, forgive us, we were just..."
But she shook her head, her voice soft. "Don't stop. Please." The word, please, startled even her. She had spent a lifetime giving orders. But this wasn't an order. This was a request. A plea. And in that moment, something cracked open inside her. Memories long buried clawed their way back. She remembered the girl she once was, the one who had nothing, the one who whispered in the dark, "Hold me. Use me. Just get me out of here." She had built her empire on those words, on the desperate hunger to never feel powerless again. But in all her victories, she had forgotten the most important truth: power is nothing without kindness. She stepped closer, kneeling by the water. The boy splashed her accidentally, droplets landing on her expensive clothes. For a split second, instinct told her to frown. But instead, something unexpected happened. She laughed. A real laugh, not forced for cameras, not calculated for image. A laugh that shook dust off her heart. The janitor blinked in disbelief. He had never seen her like this, human. And the boy giggled louder, delighted that he had made the queen of the house laugh. In that moment, the lines blurred. The billionaire wasn't above them. The janitor wasn't below her. They were just people, sharing the same sunlight, the same laughter, the same fragile humanity. That evening, she sat alone in her mansion, replaying that laughter in her mind. It haunted her, in the best way. For the first time, she felt ashamed, not of her wealth, but of how little good it had done for others. What was the point of her empire if she couldn't ease the hunger of someone starving for gentleness? So she began to change. Quietly at first. Raising the salaries of her workers. Funding schools for children like the janitor's son. Opening clinics in forgotten neighborhoods. And not because charity looked good on paper, but because she finally understood, humanity was the only real legacy. But the greatest transformation wasn't in the world around her. It was in herself. She, who had been captured by her own walls, starved of kindness, and craving something gentle, was finally free. Years later, when reporters asked her for the secret to her success, she didn't talk about strategy or ambition. She smiled,
a soft, genuine smile that reached her eyes, and said, "The greatest freedom doesn't come from power. It comes from kindness." And somewhere, in the silence of the past, the broken voice that once whispered, "Hold me, use me, just get me out of here," finally rested, because someone, at last, had listened.